Electricity is the architecture to transform and decarbonize not just the sector, but our economy.
Well, as you know, California is one of the leaders in the fight against climate change. But last month, the California Public Utilities Commission voted to cut a key incentive for rooftop solar. Now, this will impact anyone who wants to go solar in the future. LA Times' Sammy Roth told us about how it takes effect in April. Happy New Year, my friend.
Happy New Year, Lisa. Good to be back.
All right, remind everybody how the system works right now.
Sure. So right now we've got this program called net metering, which is available for customers of the big three utilities in the state: SoCal Edison, PG&E, San Diego Gas and Electric. And the way it works is that if you install solar panels on your home, they are required to pay you the retail electricity rate for the electricity that you contribute to the grid. So basically, if you have times a day when you're generating more than you need, which is frequently going to happen when it's the middle of the afternoon and it's sunny, during those times a day when you're generating more than you use, they are required to pay you the retail electric rate. And that is what makes rooftop solar pencil out. You spend thousands or maybe tens of thousands of dollars, and then at a certain point, after a certain number of years, you make back that upfront investment. That's called the payback period, how long it takes for you to make back your investment. And then after that, you're saving money.
And what is the payback period generally now?
Typically, it's about 5 or 6 years, a little lower down in San Diego where they have higher electric rates, so you're making back that money faster, but it's typically 5 or 6 years for most of the state.
All right, explain the changes and who's behind them.
So the main change is that amount that you're getting paid for the energy that you export into the power grid, it's just going to be a lot lower. So starting in April, when this decision takes effect, anyone who goes solar, they're doing it with basically a much lower average rate that they're going to get paid. It's going to be a little different because right now it's pretty much a constant rate that you're getting paid for the most part. It's going to be time dependent in the future. So if you're sending electricity to the grid in the middle of the day, you're going to get paid less, or a lot less. If you're sending electricity to the grid at night, say you've got a battery and you can store power for the evening and you can contribute to the grid when there's typically power shortfalls on summer evenings, then they'll pay you a lot more. But on average, it's going to be much lower. And the result of that, it's going to take longer to make back your money. The estimate is that the payback period will be 9 years.
Sammy, this seems to fly in the face of California's climate goals, which Governor Gavin Newsom has been touting. And previously, he didn't want these changes to be made. So what's the justification? Why now?
So there's a really interesting argument happening here. On one side of it, you've got the big utility companies like Edison and PG&E, and you've also got consumer advocacy groups and a couple of environmental groups like the NRDC. And basically, they have made the argument that this net metering system is really unfair to people who can't afford to put solar power on their roofs. So what they say is that there are billions of dollars a year that basically people who don't have solar are spending, collectively to subsidize people who do have solar, because if the people who do have solar, who tend to be wealthier, aren't paying as much on the utility bills, that ultimately the costs of maintaining the power grid and of provisioning energy for everyone, that more of those costs are getting hoisted onto everyone else who doesn't have solar, including the people who can't afford it. So they made that case to the Public Utilities Commission, and the Public Utilities Commission ultimately agreed with them.
The status quo simply needs to change to reduce the subsidy given to rooftop solar installations. They all recognize that a change is needed to reduce rising electricity rates caused by rooftop solar installations.
Like I said, it's a very controversial argument. You've got a lot of environmental groups and solar companies and others who say, we think this is ridiculous. We think this cost shift that you're talking about doesn't really exist.
It seems like, though, Sammy, after reading your piece and everyone you spoke to, nobody's really happy about the outcome.
Yeah, even the utilities who have been sort of really pushing this for years. And I should note that the utilities have arguably have a profit motive here as well. Less big infrastructure to build to serve power to people. They're going to make less money. They basically said, we don't think this goes far enough. The solar industry and most of the environmental movement said this is a catastrophe. This is going to, as you said, hurt our ability to meet our climate change and clean energy goals. I think we'll see this play out in the next few years. If solar installations start to go down dramatically, this is not going to have been seen as a good thing.
I will say that one thing I learned from your piece that was really interesting is that this might encourage us to do something that we have not done thus far, which is not just put solar panels in, but do the solar panels plus battery system so you can sell it back at night and maybe recoup your money.
That's one of the big justifications that the Public Utilities Commission and Governor Newsom, that's been their argument, that by making solar on its own, less attractive economically, but really, restructuring the incentives so that people who can put batteries in and contribute electricity to the grid in the evening after the sun goes down for them to get much higher payments for that power that they contribute. They say that's going to prompt people to invest in batteries. The thing is, solar is already like a $20,000, on average proposition to begin with, and batteries can add another $10,000. And everyone involved in this debate says we should be trying to make solar more affordable for lower income homes. But the criticisms of this decision are just that, really it's going to make it further out of reach, not closer in reach to those people.
Sammy, this is just another piece of great reporting that people can find in your newsletter.
Yeah, I write a weekly newsletter called Boiling Point. I had a recent edition that you can go find where I broke down what does this mean for you if you want to go solar, if you already have solar, if you're lower income, if you're wealthier.
Great newsletter. Thanks, Sammy.
Thanks, Lisa.